right, welcome to the Krueg Show, everybody. After 49er football, maybe we'll get the band going. Actually, here we'll throw out the band. On the Krueg Show, we've all be along. We want to hear from you in the chat. 49ers lose in Atlanta, and it was ugly. It was ugly. Interesting game, but ugly. Interesting, but ugly. Think about that for a second. But welcome to the Krueg Show on a Sunday. Weird weekend around the NFL. How about Green Bay losing to the Jets? Wow, that shocked me. Green Bay losing to the New York Jets. Weird week so far in the NFL. Let's just roll it down for you quickly. Like, it got rolling Thursday night with the Dog Meat Bowl. Commanders 12-7 over the Bears. Steelers, though, upset the Bucs today at Heinz Field despite losing their starting quarterback 20-18, I think was the final there. New York Giants beat the Ravens at MetLife. Brian Dable and the Giants break them up. They're 5-1. 24-20 was the final there. Joe Burrow returns to the Bayou and beat the Saints. Saints had a bunch of guys injured in that game. Vikings went into Miami and beat the Dolphins by 8. Colts find a way to keep their season alive and beat the Jaguars despite not having Jonathan Taylor. And then Jets go into Lambeau and slap around the Packers 27-10, and the 49ers lose 28-14. The only game that I had pegged today was Patriots Browns. I felt like the Patriots would roll the Browns. The Patriots rolled the Browns, scoring 28 in the second half to beat them 38-15, I think was the final. Ramondre Stevenson in that Patriot running game looking good, and Zappy threw for 3 Bills and a couple touchdowns. So now going on this afternoon, Bills Chiefs going on, Cardinals Seahawks, Panthers Rams, and then tonight Cowboys Eagles. We welcome in Ryan Smith. We welcome in Dan Coccimiglio. Tonight Cowboys Eagles. We could turn that down. It's bad enough we got to hear it once, but then to hear it twice. All right, guys. I just went live just a second ago, and good to see you guys. And this was not – I really didn't expect this to be this kind of a game. 49ers fall behind 14-0 and wind up losing 28-14. They lost this game twice. And really, I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about it. But to me, it's like, okay – Jeff Wilson has the fumble return for a touchdown, major negative play. They're -3 in turnovers. They did not take it away, and they lost it 3 times. Kind of like week 1, or kind of like week 3, I guess, against Denver. You can't win when you're -3 in turnovers. They were -3 in Denver. They lost. They were -3 today. They lost. They had 2 huge drops, one by Ray McLeod, the other by Charlie Warner. Just horrible drops. Both of them just perfect dimes by Garoppolo. I don't care what Garoppolo's stats look like today. He played well for the most part. Those guys let him down. I mean, really let him down. And then Jake Brendel. I mean, my God. I mean, it might be time to look for a replacement for Jake Brendel. He had 3 costly penalties on one big fourth quarter drive. And if you look at the numbers, guys, Ayuk, 8 for 83, 2 touchdowns, one of his best games ever. Kittle, 8 for 83 yards. Granted, a lot of that was in mop up duty there at the end. Debo, 7 catches, 79 yards. They had decent numbers. The Niners defense had 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits, but 0 sacks and 0 quarterback hits in the second half of the game. So on one hand, you could easily blame the 49ers. Brendel was bad. The turnovers you don't win when you're -3 in turnovers. Jeff Wilson's mistake was crushing. The 2 drops were crushing. And the defense, kind of ran out of gas, I think, a little bit in the second half being on the field. And you could point to the Niners, and there's a couple things about Shanahan in this game that bothered me. There's one particular play that we're going to go back to. But then, on the other hand, Atlanta's a really well-coached football team. Arthur Smith had a great plan. He saw the Niners were totally depleted defensively. He committed to the run. They had 40 runs for, almost 4.5 yards a carry. They dominated the time of possession. Mariota was incredibly sharp. In a lot of ways, guys, this reminds me of the Colt McCoy game from last year, from the standpoint of Mariota completed 93%. He had one incompletion all day. It came with like 10 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. And then he had 6 runs for 50 yards and a touchdown. He looked awesome. Trying to defend this team's running game and then having him have the ability to run, that hurt. Kyle Pitts and Drake London did just enough. And Atlanta outrushed the Niners 168-50. The Niners were held to 3.1 a carry. And if you look at the run-pass split, exact opposites. Niners, 16 runs, 41 passes. Atlanta, 40 runs, 14 passes. Niners had more total yards. Atlanta only had 121 passing yards. But there you go. I thought Mariota was special. I think their runners are just okay. I think their line was the Atlanta line was good. But basically, I look at this as Mariota played well. The head coach is really smart and has a smart plan. Mm-hmm. And the 49ers, between the Wilson mistake, the tip ball, and the drops and the penalties, kind of beat themselves. All right, that's my assessment. Give me your guys. You just heard my speech. What do you think? What's your takeaways, guys, on why the Niners lost this game before we roll to the chat?
Dan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. I think the game plan for Arthur Smith was wonderful. He is a very good coach. The one thing.
He is a good coach, and he's underrated. Nobody would ever say Arthur Smith. You say great coaches in the NFL. Nobody's saying Arthur Smith.
Right. I think the one thing that bothered me, I don't fault the Niners for, getting down in the sense they were depleted defensively, and Arthur Smith, his game plan, he ran it down the Niners' throat. Mariota with that RPO is very tough to guard and or defend. And I think that the one criticism I would have of the Niners today is I think they need to go more to hurry up offense. When you're down by 2 scores, stop, taking your time and thinking you have all day. You need possessions. And
every time they tried to hurry up in Kyle's, the only defense I would give of Kyle, it's like every time they tried to hurry up, it seemed like Brendel got caught with another penalty.
Yeah,
keep up.
Does Rye have just a buzz cut? Did you just go straight buzz?
Okay, that, you know what, Dan, I don't mean to take away from your point, but normally I go.
That's not just high and tight. I
know. Normally I go high and tight. I'm a man that doesn't quite know what to say when he goes to get his haircuts. I usually am like, the classic. Like if I've been seeing someone for a while. The woman that I saw this past week, she said she had in the notes down like my exact haircut from last time.
Right.
It's just a full-blown buzz cut, I feel like, at this point.
Where do you go to? Oh, wow. You go to Sports Clips or what? Where do you go?
What was the notes? Did it at the top of the notes? Did you see opening scene from Officer and a Gentleman? No.
I know. I do look like.
Did you mention anything about military service or that you were giving yourself to the country?
I did not, but I will say, the most disturbing part of it is like, I can't even hate on the haircut. I'm cool with it. Just means I'm not going to get another haircut for a longer time. It's more so that like, I felt like she really was taking her time and like doing a lot of clipping and a lot of, and it's sort of like,
she was getting paid by the minute.
Yeah.
So what day was this, by the way? Was this Saturday?
No, I've done some streams with it. I think it was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. Wow, this thing's grown out. It's grown out since then. Okay, so it's so funny that I bring up the haircut because I took my youngest kid, Christopher, for a haircut out here in the creek yesterday. And he's got the kind of hair that's very straight and it just keeps coming down like a lampshade. So it's like right about here. Now he's kind of It's kind of down lower than the eyes. So she cuts it, and it's like right above the eyes. And I'm like, man, we're going to be here in like 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to grow back. I'm like, can you get it a little shorter? And then she's like, okay. So she cuts it a little shorter. And I go, can you make it even a little shorter than that? She's like getting really frustrated with me. Yeah, I guess, it's like, hey, I was afraid to say, give him like, really cut it back, you know what I mean? But he's, at the same time, he's 13. So it's like, I want to let him do it, say it for himself. Anyway, she gave me I was getting the stank eye from the lady at Great Clips in Walnut Creek because I asked her like 3, I go, maybe a little shorter. She's like, next time you need to tell me it's like 4 or 5 inches off the top and this and that. I'm like, I was afraid that you might over hatchet him. So I thought maybe we could just go a little bit at a time. She was not happy at all.
My problem with the super short ones is that I have like these massive moles that just show up on the side of my head. I don't know if the stream can pick that up.
Look at that.
Kind of see that right there.
That's that's an autopsy on the haircut.
Yeah, I just gave you guys an autopsy. All right, Dan.
All right, back to the Niners. Speaking
of haircuts, I'm hoping you take another haircut today, Larry, in fantasy. Our teams are going up against each other, and now
you already lucked out. I didn't have Chase Claypool anymore. And,
I know. I saw you.
And I didn't know that that Akers had gone off the reservation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cut Darrell Henderson.
You may have you may pull it out though. Pierce gets the TD, the long TD at the end of the Jacksonville Indy game, and I see you had Pierce there, so he got you 12.4 points.
Oh, I am winning 60-31, but I'm projected to. Well, wait a second.
You're still projected to lose
84, 89, 84. It's not a stellar week for me.
It's not a good week at all. Yikes. I don't know what's going to happen here, but
let's focus on the Niners, guys, because people care about the Niners. We got lots of people already in the chat.
Finishing my point with the Niners, I will say that I believe that this game was lost due to several factors. The main thing is they're just too hurt. They're too injured, and you're playing 8-9 guys that are your backups, and I don't care who you're playing in this league. If you don't have your top horses, it's going to be tough. Anybody can beat anybody, and we're seeing defenses rise up all over the league. Pittsburgh today defeats Tampa Bay. The Jets beat the Packers in Green Bay. I think that was in Green Bay, wasn't it? I think it was, yeah. So it's just the Niners, to me, they got down 14-0. The turnover hurt them, but Jimmy brought them right back. And so give Jimmy a lot of credit for, hitting guys. He was 10 of 11 at one point with 103 yards and 2 touchdowns, had 145 QB passing rating at that point. And then, the INT at the end of the half, I don't fault him for that. That was just
there was 9 seconds left. Yeah. He's going up top. He's just gonna put it out there and give his guy a chance. That's not the big one. I don't fault him for either pick, really.
Yeah, the other one
he did seem a little, once again, very unsettled in the pocket with, kind of wild feet from time to time, and he looked a little unsure. He was definitely behind Debo on one of those key third downs in the second half. He was low and behind Debo on one. So his accuracy was a little spotty, but overall, I mean, I looked at this, that they had 9 drives basically. Yeah, they punted. They went 3 and out on the first drive. Then they had the Wilson fumble for a touchdown. They're in a 14-0 hole. Then the next 2 drives, they scored touchdowns to make it 14-14. Then the interception that you're talking about, Danny, at the end of the first half. Mm-hmm. Those were the drives in the first half. Second half, they had to punt on the first drive with McLeod had the huge drop on the bomb. Then they had to punt on the next drive. Warner dropped an absolute perfect pass. Then they had the interception on the tipped pass. Then they had the turnover on downs on the drive where Brendel had 3 penalties on the drive. So it's just, I mean, if you don't have a lot of possessions in the NFL and you got to make it happen, And they couldn't make it happen. I do agree with you, Danny, though. My big complaint would be exactly your complaint. They need to move faster. On that last drive, it was a 2nd and 10 play from their own 46-yard line. Garoppolo had just thrown an incomplete pass to Ayuk on 1st and 10. Reggie Evans or Rashawn Evans got his hands on it and knocked it down. So now it's 2nd and 10 at your own 46. They're running Tevin Coleman. What in the hell are you doing there? Why are you running Tevin Coleman on 2nd and 10 from the 46 when there's like inside of 5 minutes and you're down 2 touchdowns? You cannot run Tevin Coleman on 2nd and 10 from the 46. I think that might have been the last time they ran the rest of the game. They shouldn't have run there. I mean, that's the lack of urgency with that play call was atrocious, but Brendel sunk him on that drive. Eventually, Garoppolo threw incomplete behind and low to Debo on the 4th and 2. But, I mean, that drive, they wasted all kinds of time. Brendel had 3 penalties on the drive, and then they're running the football down 2 touchdowns. That one was very, very disappointing.
Right. And there was another play that I was wondering, down 2 possessions. It was the second possession of the second half when they had it 4th and 6 at the 44. It was 3rd and 6 to 44, and Garoppolo had an incomplete pass to Wilson. And then they went ahead and punted. I was actually thinking, is this the time you're down 2 possessions? I know there's still a lot of time left and you're middle of the 3rd quarter, 6.5 minutes to go. But I was wondering, is this where you either maybe look at a fake punt or try to go for it at 4th and 6? Questionable, because if you miss it, you give Atlanta the ball.
Like an automatic field goal, probably.
Yeah. But momentum,
and that would make it a 3-score game. Right. I understand. I agree with you on that one too. I didn't like that call either. You've already losing the time of possession battle.
They killed themselves though, because on that drive, that's the play that Warner dropped a perfect dime.
Yeah.
And they would have had the ball deep in Atlanta's territory, and then you would be driving and hopefully getting the score within 1, drive it in for a TD. You still got plenty of time left. To me, the Niners killed themselves today. McLeod and Warner, and then the Wilson fumble. You're not going to win games like that when you give up your opportunities. And a lot of people I see online, ripping Jimmy, or even some people in the chat saying the Niners need to go. Any quarterback, you could have had Aaron Rodgers making those plays today. If you're dropping those balls, you're not going to win.
Those were dimes. Yeah. Those were dimes. So yeah, those catches have to be made. But I agree with you. We just kind of pointed out the 2, that play, and that sequence right there when they punted, they had gone to Jeff Wilson. So Warner drops the ball on 2nd and 5 from the 44. Right. So it's 3rd and 5, and then he goes to Wilson, and it was just too low. And it was just too low of a pass. So they're 4th and 5. But I agree. At that point in the ball game, you're down 28-14. It's still 3rd quarter, but it's late 3rd quarter. And you're going up against a team that plays ball control. I thought they needed to be aggressive there and go for it. I agree. I thought they should have gone for it on 4th and 5 there at their own 44. And to me, that was a really bad one. And then ultimately, the 2nd and 10 at the 40 on, late in the 4th quarter. You got 5 minutes left and you're running a running back. My God. Seriously, speed it up. Even the announcers were saying it's like, because when they got the ball in that drive, there was like 9 minutes left. They moved the ball like 20 yards in like 4 minutes.
Yeah, you got to get. They had the ball. They took it at the 1 yard line after the punt.
which was a great, well-timed special teams play by them. But then the Niners came out. They found Kittle for 9, and they got a quick first down, and but then the Brendel penalties killed him on that drive. He had the illegal downfield deal. Yeah. Then he had a hold. And then
the hold on the Debo, the hold on that was a long pass to Ayuk. And I don't necessarily know about that one. That seemed like maybe a crappy kind of call. It sort of looked like he almost just got bull rushed and put on his back. And like the ref saw that and assumed that he had pulled the guy down. But in reality, I think he just got freaking panicked.
Yeah, but I mean, Shanahan, come on. You cannot run Tevin Coleman a couple plays after that with 5 minutes left in the game, down 2 touchdowns. I mean, it was just like, what are you doing? I mean, at that point, it was like, speed it up or you got no shot. And they had no shot. So I don't think it was going to make that big of a difference. But, Ryan, give me your takeaway.
It was just a tough one. You know, I did think it was going to be a closer game, like 20. I think I said like 24-21. And then this morning, I got really nervous when I saw that the line moved from 6 to like 3.5. And it was like, oh, God. That's never great on a Sunday when you see that going against your squad. So honestly, you know, this Falcons team, they're better than we were talking about it, Larry. Like they're better than people realize. And I mean, if you just run down their schedule, they lost to the Saints by 1, then they lost to the Rams by 4 on the road. Then they beat the Seahawks.
They're hard to blow out because they just commit to the run too.
Exactly. I mean, and then home versus the Browns, they beat the Browns. Then Bucks, as we all saw last week, easily could have gone the other way if not for the Grady Jarrett call. So I actually think that they may be a stealth prediction or a stealth team to win that division, just the way that the Saints and the Panthers have been looking. And then the Bucks lost again today. But yeah, I mean, it was weird. It was it felt like how I'm assuming it feels like to go against Kyle sometimes, where it just was pretty demoralizing. Like they just were running the hell out of the ball, and everything was just 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, and then they would just keep moving the ball. And the defense, like it finally hit a point where this is basically an entire second team defense out there. And
they were gassed. They were gassed.
You couldn't count on them to, I mean, what they really needed was some turnovers or something, but
I thought, on a positive note, I thought guys like Amenahue and Drake Jackson and Ebukam really stepped up without Bosa out there.
I agree.
I thought Jackson was flying around. Heck, Ebukam, I think he's battling that Achilles soreness. He went down like 3 different times, but he kept coming back. And he had a huge sack on one drive to end a drive. I thought Amenahue had another big sack in this game to end a drive. So, I mean, the 49er defense did what they could. I thought they fought valiantly. It wasn't like they really got gashed at any point. No. It's just that they just weren't
like the all-time level that they've been at. And
40 runs. I mean, 40 runs. And Atlanta's a well-coached football team for sure. They committed to the run. They had a smart game plan. They ran into the Niners when they were super depleted. But a couple big, overarching points. One, I think Mariota looks like their solution there. I mean, he's mobile, he's smart, he's a big kid who's, who can beat you with his legs. I thought some of his play fakes were really good. He seems like he's playing, taking what the defense gives him. I love what they've got there as far as in the red zone with Pitts and with Drake London, and they got the makings of a really nice offensive line. I mean, if they get a little bit more dynamic in some of their skill position guys and build up their front seven a little bit.
Yeah. It really could be just Patterson coming back.
But I'm just saying in the next couple of years, they're a team to watch for in the NFC because they got a good coach. It looks like they got a good young quarterback, and they've got some interesting pieces to the puzzle. They got some young DBs that played well.
And offensively, I like the identity that Arthur Smith's building there, the way that he's just getting big freaking receivers. And obviously Pitts isn't there yet as a blocking tight end, but just the fact that you have Pitts, big ass receiver, and then you've got Drake London, big ass receiver, and then you're going to get Calvin Ridley back next year. You got Patterson in the backfield. Mariota can move, and I feel like the theme so far of the year has been for a league that's felt like the quarterback play was at an all-time high. The teams you're seeing winning now are just taking care of the football. I mean, this Patriots team, they're not bad. They really are not bad. And the way Bailey Zappi's just taking care of the football, they're getting W's. Mac Jones was not taking care of the football. So you're seeing like these kind of middling quarterbacks are doing really well. You're the Cooper Rushes of the world. And it's sort of just, can't turn the ball. I mean, that Jeff Wilson, that fumble was just a backbreaker, man. To give up a fumble.
I thought the Ray McLeod drop was a backbreaker. That was a bomb. Yeah. I mean, they don't go up top, and he absolutely hit him in stride perfectly.
I don't trust that guy for a second. I honestly, I don't understand. I
think Danny Gray would have caught that. Donnie Gray would have caught
Danny Gray.
Danny Gray was inactive today, but just very frustrating. The Warner drop, the Ray drop, the Brendel penalties, the -3 in turnovers, the super negative play with Jeff Wilson.
And they couldn't run the ball in the second half, or I think Kyle ran it Jimmy G was, I think, their second leading rusher. They
couldn't get the run game going, lost the time of possession.
It's going to come down to if the Niners are to go to the Super Bowl, or whoever goes to the Super Bowl, it's going to come down to health. This league is a league of attrition there's just so much physicality out there and speed that guys are getting hurt every play almost. I mean, you saw today, several guys go down for both teams, and it's, this turf is bad. These teams that have this artificial turf crap, I mean, players' legs, it's just constant injury. So
it's really,
guys. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, if you take a look at the Niners schedule, one thing that's pretty troubling is, this was a rough, kind of a rough spot, and things went against them, and now they have all these injuries, and it's like, all right, well, Kansas City's rolling in next week. Then the week after that, they're at the Rams for what really could be the game that decides the entire division. The Rams
is looking coming off of a bye.
Yeah, and
the Rams are a circus, though. Did you see they're going to trade Cam Akers, and him and McVay are not getting along? They got a terrible O-line. I'm not worried about the Rams. I'm more worried about the Cardinals getting DeAndre Hopkins back.
Well,
to me, that's more significant.
Let me run through the schedule because it's kind of troubling. So they're home Chiefs next week. They lose that, they're 3-4. Then they're going at the Rams off a bye. Then home Chargers. All three of those are difficult games. Then home Cardinals. That's 4 difficult games. Then home Saints, which, I don't know, they're frisky. Home Dolphins, they could have Tua back by that point. Home Bucks, they could have it turned around by then. Then at Seattle, I don't care. Like that's a tough game.
It's the NFL. This is the NFL in 2022, right? They had easy games on their schedule. Who'd they play early that was easy? Denver, Chicago, Atlanta. Oh, they lost all those teams.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if we can even look at the schedule at this point.
Yeah.
It's a week-to-week league for sure. All right. Before we get into the chat, which we're going to get into the chat right now, what would you guys say? Because you just know the way this is. You know the way this works. The NFL has the most attention, but when you win, there's the most celebration. But when you lose, there's the most frustration. Who or what faces the brunt of 49er Nation frustration in the next 24 hours?
I'm having a hard time figuring it out.
Garoppolo, Shanahan, Brendel, or
the artificial turf,
or the drops, the McLeods and the Warners. Who's going to get blamed? Who are people going to filibuster their negativity in the next 48 hours? And I'll be part of it, by the way. Join me tomorrow at 3:00 with Dave and Bruce. We'll get as negative as we possibly can. I believe Michael Irvin's going to stop by. So we'll get negative with Michael. But I mean, seriously,
I think
there is no such thing as the blameless.
Yeah.
There's somebody right now streaming who's blaming somebody, who's pointing a finger at somebody. You heard ours, right? I'm blaming Jeff Wilson. I'm blaming Ray McLeod. I'm blaming Charlie Warner. I'm blaming Jake Brendel. I'm blaming Shanahan for not going fast. Danny's blaming Shanahan for not going fast. But on the other hand, I also know that I'm crediting Mariota. I'm crediting Arthur Smith. I'm crediting that Falcons offensive line and their whole plan. I was really impressed. So I'm not necessarily pointing at if I was pointing at any one figure in this thing, I think I would have to point to Jeff Wilson. But you know, he did come back and run really hard after that and had some good runs. Who's going to get the blame? Who's going to get the biggest amount of the blame?
The fans' perspective or the
before we go through the chat, because I haven't read all these chats, but once we do, we're going to hear everybody's perspective. Okay. Do you think that the most number of people blame the quarterback, the head coach, the drops, the faceless, nameless offensive lineman Jake Brendel, or Jeff Wilson, turnovers, and Kyle? And who gets the negativity this week?
I think that most people, and I'm not going to blame them, but I think most people will blame Shanahan because of his whatever, the way the game was called, all of that. I personally think you just got beat by a better team today.
A better team? The Atlanta Falcons?
Today. I'm not saying they're the better team. Today they were better.
Today they were better. Yeah, there's no doubt.
I'm not saying they were a better team. Niners will beat them 8 out of 10 times.
But today they were the better team. You're saying the better team today won.
The injuries. They were just Niners were down 8 starters on defense.
I know. Rye always talks about the Jenga game. You know, you keep pulling out a piece here, a piece there, a piece here, a piece there, and then all of a sudden, what do you got? You know, so it is kind of.
And I don't even know what this like the Jenga thing is like. You know, you normally think about the player like the TJ Watt or Bosa, but it really just felt like it reached a point where, you know, it was like all these little, not even little things, but things that normally they could overcome. It's like it was just too many, man. Charvarius Ward goes out. You know, it's no Mosley.
McGlinchey went out.
McGlinchey went out, and
Who played for McGlinchey, by the way?
I didn't know the guy. I didn't know. I think that Brunskill moved over to right tackle.
It was Hance. Is that his name?
Hance.
Yeah. I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, the guy they got from the Browns.
60.
Yeah, and like the first play of the game that he was in, he got roasted off the edge, and
he missed
like
a block on a key play too, on a run that would have given the Niners a first down late in that drive. One of the drives, and he just totally missed his guy, and they stopped him for, you know. I just think that the Falcons, you know, played smash mouth football today, ran it down a depleted defensive line. The Niners were gassed on the defensive line because they couldn't just do the normal substitutions. They couldn't just, you know, these guys were out there for a long time. Look at the time of possession. What was it? It was like
it actually wasn't that bad at the end because it was a little distorted
because of that long drive at the end of the game when they went 9-10 minutes.
But before that, it was very one-sided. Very one-sided. Calba donates $10. Says this was the first time this season where I saw poor tackling on the second level. They tried tackling too high, too often. It resulted in more yards after contact. Greenlaw, who had 25 tackles the last 2 weeks, had 2 at halftime. 2.
Yeah.
The 49ers in the second half, no sacks, no quarterback hits. So you're probably right, Danny. They just kind of ran down. But let's see what the chat has to say. Let's roll. Who are you, if you're in the chat right now, who do you most blame for this 49er loss? Because somebody has to be blamed. It wouldn't be the NFL without blame. Vicky says, just a bad game. Just a bad game. Mosey says, horrible offensive game. That was the thing we talked about a little bit in the pregame with O'Neal. This was a game that on paper, the 49er offense was going to have to pick up the 49er defense, and they didn't. It looked like Debo and Ayuk and Kittle came to play. Jimmy played all right, but crucial mistakes, penalties, and the Jeff Wilson turnover was absolutely huge. Jose Fonseca Jr., big fumble, big drops, unable to stop Atlanta on third downs, and Shanny just looking confused. Did you think he looked confused?
I don't know if I'd say confused. I mean, I'd say
he's ready for Sean Payton. Jose Fonseca Jr.'s make the first move on Shanahan as we are 35 minutes into the live stream, and we're only like 5 or 6 texts into the chat, and already we have Shanahan replaced. We got this one. Jose says Juwan Jennings is not being utilized enough. I would have kind of agree with that. I'd like to see they call him Big Play Jay. Well, they needed a big play. I'll say this too. The 49ers, it was kind of shown, not only did they go slow in the second half, they looked slow in the second half. I thought they were going to look like the faster team because I think they are the faster team, but you have no Danny Gray. They took that one shot down the field to Ray Ray. I would have thought they would have, on a fast surface, they would have gotten the ball deep to Ray Ray, and they just couldn't do it. I talked about this earlier in the week. I think when you have a fast surface, you try to focus on your speed, and your speed is Danny Gray and Ray Ray, and Danny Gray was inactive, and they took one deep shot to Ray Ray. And he dropped it, and that was it.
What is Jordan Mason
great
in the game
return
for?
Yeah, Jordan Mason never plays.
Why are we even suiting him up if that's
is he on special teams or what is he? I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
we got this one. California Niner says Kyle and Jimmy can move to Love Island together. See, now that's the kind of negativity that really reeks of a post game right there. Now we're doing post game.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you guys want to hear what Kyle has to say?
And Max Milano says,
how about this one? I'm sorry, Danny. The California Niner says the Kyle days are over. Now he's firing Kyle.
There's so much you can. Probably means there's only so much you can do with such a mediocre quarterback. Well, you can't blame Jimmy on today.
Yeah, Jimmy wasn't the issue. I mean, Charlie Warner. What would you say you do here? You know. Ray McLeod, the job is receiver. I mean, it's just, I don't want to be salty towards these guys, but it's not Jimmy. It's not Jimmy. California Niner, let's pray Kyle is gone by next year. Wow. Wow. Jason Neal, Kyle Shanahan is 42 and 45. See, it's going to be Kyle.
Yeah, I think
this one. California Bears says, please cook them, Larry. Please cook them.
Instead of just looking at it objectively and saying you got run over by a Mack truck today, you're depleted. You do the best you can under the circumstances, and you go out there and you try and compete. But there's some days you're just not going to have it, and you have to give credit sometimes to the other team, the other side.
How about this one, guys? California Bear, kind of like the Robert Rothberg of the Giant post game.
Let's go.
Practically the rest of the league is all 3-3, so it's not the end of the world. Rooting for the Panthers today against the Rams.
Yep, got to. All right, you want to listen to what Kyle has to say? I'm very interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you heard it yet, or you just?
I think pretty easy to talk to him after the game because it was real obvious what happened. We knew going into this game how that team was built. We knew it would have to be a physical game. We knew we'd have to protect the ball. And we didn't want them to get up because of how they're wired to run the ball and things like that. And especially going in a little depleted. We knew we had to come out strong. And them going on that first drive all the way down the field, I thought was rough. Then us fumbling, having the return for a touchdown to put us in a 14-0 hole with those situations. Then losing a number of guys after that. Thought we did a good job getting right back. But I thought the biggest play in that game was in the second quarter. That 3rd and 13, we finally got him in a long third down, and I don't know what happened, but got free in the middle, and Mariota was allowed to scramble for the first down, and then he ended up getting 7-point lead to go in at halftime. Our chances to come out and answer right away. But when you put yourself in that hole, and you can't overcome some drops that we missed. I thought we had a big chance in the second play of the half. The next series up, thought we had a big chance. I believe that was 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 10. Same thing happened. And then when we turned that over at the end, there's no room for error, and that's pretty obvious when I talked that way. Why they ended up with 40 runs. We had 16. We had 3 turnovers. They had 0. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, that's not what you necessarily want to hear, because
he brought up that key play, though. It was a 3rd and 13 that the 49ers had from their own, or that the Falcons had from their own 39. And this was a couple plays after Menahue had that sack. Menahue has a sack on 1st and 10. So then they're 2nd and 18. And then Mariota finds Pitts for 5. So now it's 3rd and 13. And D'Amico comes with a blitz, and he had Greenlaw flying off the edge. And man, Mariota almost got sacked like 2 different times, one by the blitzer, one by a D lineman. Instead, he sidesteps both. He jets up the middle for 17 yards. And then you get a penalty on the next play on Ridgeway. And they're moving down the field. Eventually, Ebukam would have a tackle for a loss on 1st down on the next series. But ultimately Mariota would fake out, Samuel Womack on the 3-yard touchdown run to make it 21-14. And there was 53 rushing yards on that drive by Mariota, I believe. So ultimately, I thought Mariota, that was a huge play in the game, that 3rd and 13 from the 39, where the Niners, if they blitz him and they get home, now, you've got a 14-14 game, and they're kicking you the ball back, and you've got probably 2-3 minutes to go do something with it. Instead, he makes that run, it extends the drive. They wind up getting a touchdown. Now they're up 21-14. By the time you get the ball back at the end of the first half, there's inside of a minute. And you really couldn't do anything with it other than, throw up that prayer, which eventually was picked, by Isaiah Oliver down the field. So that kind of derailed that. That was a huge play. They get home on that blitz. Then it's, 14-14, and maybe the Niners go up 21-14 into the locker room. Instead, Atlanta takes the 21-14 lead into the locker room, and it was a huge shift. Yeah. So, it's amazing how football games hinge on, a half dozen plays here or there. That one right there was huge, because that could have been an overwhelming positive play for the Niners. And instead, it wound up being this huge breath of fresh air for Atlanta, a big confidence builder. And, a few plays later, they're in the end zone and up 7 going into the break. So,
yeah, it's just unfortunate. I mean, they one thing that I will say when I look at this 49er offense, and when Jimmy is back there in the pocket and he's looking, seemed like he had a lot of time today for a lot of his passes.
Yeah, he did.
So you can't just blame the offense. They gave him time, but the coverage was good. I wonder if they were forcing Jimmy to run and he just didn't take the runs, because that's what I think is necessary. You see Rodgers do it. You see some of the other quarterbacks that aren't like what you would consider super mobile that will run. Jimmy doesn't. He ran once today.
No, I think he had 3 runs.
Oh, did he have 3? I'd like to see him just, if nothing's there and the run is open, take the 5 yards and get down. Take the 8 yards, get down if it's available, and just move the ball that way, because a lot of his throws that he had where they were incomplete and he was kind of dancing, like you said, Larry, with happy feet back there, it looked like he could have taken off, gotten a few yards, but he's looking for that pass. And I think prior to 2018, Jimmy, before he got the ACL, I think you would have seen him take off. And I'd like to see that part of his game come back a little bit. Just take what the defense gives you, get down, and I think that will help open up the passing game more if he's a threat to run at times.
They also got to speed it up. I mean, Eli Braunstein said those drops were brutal. Mario says Kyle has no huddle offense. He's such an offensive genius. Where's the no huddle? I agree. I mean, I like seeing no huddle anytime you're struggling to gain rhythm. But I mean, you have to be able to run a no huddle offense in the late third quarter down 2 touchdowns instead of holding. I mean, to me, if there was any part of this game that you just said, oh my God, I can't imagine what the discussion is going to be like. It's that fourth quarter drive where they took forever and eventually lost it on downs.
Yeah, and then their no huddle, I really think, I know there wasn't very much time left at the end of the first half, but I thought they didn't use the one timeout wisely. I would have used it earlier because they let a lot of time run off trying to, you got a big play early on the first play, and then they took forever to line up for the second down or the next play. Now, I think I would have used my timeout and just try, but I think what they were doing was they didn't want to get in a position to give Atlanta the ball back with time left on the clock. And so they kind of let the clock run. And so that if they didn't make the first down, there wouldn't be enough time. But they left themselves short. They couldn't. I think they could have used the timeout and got in position to get a field goal. Probably wouldn't have done them much good the way the game turned out. But 21-17 going in at half versus 21-14 and then getting the ball back, might have been a little bit more momentum. But,
people are going to point the finger at this offense and they're going to say, why with an offense that has the best left tackle in football, maybe the best tight end in football, 2 first-round draft choice or, 1 high second, I guess, in Debo, but 2 equivalent of first-round draft choice wide receivers and a pretty deep backfield, and a play caller like Shanahan, why are they not scoring more points? You know what I mean? I think there's going to be people starting to point the finger. We've got this one. Gray says the offense sucks. The defense did their job. This Maximiliano says Mariota is better than Jimmy. He might be. I'm not arguing the premise. I'm just saying that's not Mariota was very good today and he was perfect in the first half. But I wouldn't say I don't blame Jimmy. I don't blame Jimmy for that Oliver pick at the end of the first half. I thought Jimmy, for the most part, played well. I think Jimmy's receivers kind of let him down today.
That was Mariota's best. That was his best game of the year by far. So, I mean, if you go through his past couple, last game he was 14 of 25. He had 1 touchdown, 1 fumble lost. Game before that, he was 7 of 19, had a pick and a fumble. Game before that, he was 13 of 20, touchdown and a pick, 1 fumble lost. Game before that, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 1 fumble lost. And then the first game of the season, he had a fumble lost, no touchdowns, no pick. So he has not been he's been fine, but this was the game of his life.
No question. Eric Hernandez says about the Niners, he says this team is not explosive offensively. Mediocre quarterback, limited play calls. Benji says Niners should have won. No excuses. NorCal Refrigeration says Niners are in trouble. They have no cornerbacks. They have no offensive tackles. What is the status of McGlinchey? So they said it was a calf injury.
Really? Yeah. When he went down, it looked almost like he might have just banged his knee, but
yeah, I know.
Jose Fonseca Jr. says this offense is so inconsistent. They have all these playmakers and an offensive guru pulling the trigger. They look like a last place team. Give me Sean Payton.
I'll tell you what, they could really use Christian McCaffrey. Just a guy that they can just dump it to in these
Yeah, I agree, right?
Would you make the investment? I mean, I saw Carolina says they want multiple number ones. They're not getting multiple.
They're not getting multiple.
That was the report today. They want multiple number ones. But I'll say this. I would be very interested in McCaffrey as well because McCaffrey you control contractually for a number of years. He would add elements to this offense immediately because there's so many creative ways you can get him the ball in space. And I just think that is he, if you make him be an every down, guy, if you make him be just he's got to be your bell cow back, then he's probably going to get hurt and you're probably not going to get your value out of him. But if you're a team like the Niners and they have Mitchell, they have Wilson, they have Tevin Coleman, they've got some bell cow type runners they can run between the tackles. This guy could be a difference maker. Now, I don't know that I'd offer number ones because especially you don't have a number one.
Maybe
but I'd offer a 2.
I'd offer a 2 and Mitchell.
I'd want to keep Mitchell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd offer a 2. I'd offer multiple 2s if I had to.
You got Wilson, you got TDP, and you've got Mason.
Maybe TDP. Maybe offer TDP.
TDP. Yeah, I'd offer a couple 2s because just think about his whole. It seems like Shanahan's whole deal is like he wants
it's time to go for it.
Yeah,
it's time
to go for it. And
the Rams are going to do it. The Rams are going to try.
And Buffalo. Do you want him? Do you want to see him go to Buffalo? Do you want to see him go to the Rams?
I mean, they would have the best running wide receiver I've seen ever in my lifetime, and then they have the best receiving running back that at least I've probably seen in my lifetime.
And they're positioned to be able to keep him healthy because they don't have to use him as a bell cow guy. They could run Jeff Wilson and Tevin Coleman on first and second down and use him, as you said, just jack of all trades, flex him out. He's just like another version of Debo. I would do it. I would try to get McCaffrey. And if I could even add to that deal and try to get Derek Brown, I'd like to get Derek Brown as well.
Or Burns.
The Kinlaw IR decision is also very painful. I heard Dennis Brown, so I was driving in today, say that Kinlaw may be done for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, at that point, you got to start asking the bust question. Is he a bust if he can't play the whole year?
Oh, if he's out the whole year, you just move on. I mean, I guess you don't offer him the 5th year, obviously. Because that's due this year, right? You have to make a decision on whether to give him the 5th year.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where he's at in this deal.
This is by the end of the 3rd year, you have to offer whether you're going to give him the 5th year or not. And there's no way. If
the Panthers beat the Rams, man, that is just insane. That also means, Dan, I don't know if you've been looking at your nephew's survivor pool. He picked Baltimore today, so he's done. And now it's just me and the other guy. We both picked the Rams today. So
I went money line parlay.
I don't even want to hear it, Larry. The amount of time I got destroyed today.
Ravens, Packers, Niners, Patriots, Chiefs. Chiefs, by the way, are beating Buffalo 7-3. Yep. Buffalo's got the ball. Low scoring game, man. If you had the under, you're already home in that game. Seahawks 6-3 on the Cardinals, Panthers 10-7 on the Rams, Eagles, Cowboys go tonight.
I mean, how about Philly? If the Eagles lose tonight, then the Vikings might have a chance at getting the bye. They'll be 5-1.
But do you really think Eagles are going to lose at home to the Cowboys tonight?
I mean, you could have posed that same question about.
Yeah, watch all 3 teams at the top of the NFC East will be 5-1, and the West will be.
Oh, I forgot about the Giants too. Yeah,
Giants beat Baltimore today.
I mean, talk about Dayball. The way Dayball's just like, okay, we're just not going to make any mistakes that are going to cost us.
That ain't going to last.
Kenyon Drake in that game for Baltimore ran for 10 times for 119.
Yeah.
Am I reading that right?
How about Lamar's pick at the end of the game was horrible. It's just you guys are making mistakes the fact that the Packers are 3-3, Bucks are 3-3, Falcons 3-3, Niners 3-3, Rams we'd assume will be 3-3. It is the NFC beast.
If you had to say right this minute, who's going to the Super Bowl? Who are you going with?
Oof. I mean, I'm
obviously you're going to go Buffalo or Kansas City in the AFC, right?
I mean, what's crazy is that the Chargers have been so disappointing, but like if the Chiefs lose today and the Chargers win, then all of a sudden they're sitting atop of the AFC West.
It's so early. It's so early. We're 6 weeks in. They've got 11 more games. So much can happen. I'm going to stick with the Niners if they're healthy. I don't think if that defense comes back together and is healthy, that wins games.
But they're just, it's so disturbing that the 49ers just continue to lose guys. And you just kind of wonder if are they ever going to get healthy? You know what I mean? It's like they lose somebody else. I mean, I'm afraid to even ask. Did they lose anybody today?
Well, they lost to
McGlinchey and Charvarius Ward.
But I mean, Ward for any period of time?
I don't think. I think a week maybe for both. I mean, both might be back. I mean,
well, and then you got to eye the bye after. I mean, I'd say as crazy as it sounds, you can't rush everyone back for the Chiefs game, and then after that, it's like you're at the Rams and you got to bye the following week, so it's almost like I could see a lot of people waiting until after the bye.
What do you think of this one? Lou Marson says the play calling was so predictable. Next week, Kansas City will only get worse. Do you think the play calling was predictable? I mean, the Niners don't have a lot of speed. So if they fall behind and they don't have Danny Gray up, you've got Ray McLeod and more, they're more physical. They're like guys that you're going to complete passes underneath to, which fits with Jimmy, but they don't really have a lot of big play ability, it seems like right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're just a team that I think everybody in the NFC has their flaws. And I think the Niners' flaws, until it's proven otherwise, is, they have to keep the game close. They can't get down early, because once they're down early, it disrupts everything that, their entire identity.
It wouldn't be post game if somebody didn't suggest that the backup quarterback needs to play. Maximiliano says it's Brock Purdy time. It's Brock Purdy time.
Purdy v. Mahomes with everyone injured. I don't know.
Eric says Niners offense has no margin for error. 2 interceptions on underthrown passes. Jimmy ain't that guy. Jimmy's deep ball just hangs. His deep ball always hangs. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, can't put that first interception on him.
No, but I'm just saying when they have tried to go deep to like Danny Gray last week, the ball kind of hangs in the air.
Well, and it makes it extra worse the fact that Ray dropped that one today. It's like that's like one of the best passes Jimmy's thrown in a while. And
I would say Fonseca says those two drops Ray would have gotten Jimmy over 400 yards passing.
Wow. That was Matthew Stafford's 29th pick six of his career, which is more than Manning and Breeze.
Look at this one. California Niner. Kyle needs to go. We're over him. Kyle needs to go. Wow.
There's
we got this one. Gerardo says, don't play Jimmy G in this game. Too many drop passes, especially the 3 he made deep. The genius's lack of urgency is impressive, I think. 49ers need an OC and a head coach. No more Kyle Shanahan, please. We had it with him and John Lynch. Wow.
Ooh, Josh.
Gerardo Sanchez wants to run out the regime.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Gene Kirsten. Womack had a drop. What was it? No, Warner had a drop last week on his only chance. Why go to him again?
Because he was open.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see that guy working on the jugs gun though this week. I mean, if you're having problems with drops, then maybe you need to up your reps, because your job is they need Warner not just to be a try-hard blocker. They need him to catch the ball from time to time.
It was great seeing Kittle out there playing well.
Yeah. And we talked about that in the pregame. Atlanta really defended the tight end. Like, I think they were like 28th in the league at defending the tight end. So there was reason to go to the Niner tight end today. But I think he's going to be, I would not be surprised if George Kittle didn't practice this week, because I thought he got hammered. He got hit hard a bunch of times.
I don't like this. Like, what is that? Kittle is washed and slow AF. No, he's not. No, he played great today, I thought, and he had some unbelievable blocks.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. The negativity. It's great. I love it. It's out
love
there.
the negativity. With
I saw
it.
Grant is blaming
the house
part
is
of it on
burning.
Fred
Burn it
Warner.
down.
What's that? Who's Grant blaming?
I saw him blaming Fred Warner. What are we doing? We're like,
For what? For not tackling.
he said he didn't play well.
Yeah, he said he didn't play.
He missed some tackles. There was one short yardage play where Warner got in untouched, and it was like he wanted to tap the guy down instead of really rock him. And he tapped him. The guy didn't go down and got the first down, but he was there and he wasn't blocked. And it's like, that guy's you got to starch that I forget it was Huntley or Algier. And he kind of took a glancing angle and he put a little bit of a hit on the guy, but the guy broke for 3 and got the first. I mean, I think Grant's right to point the finger at Warner a little bit, but come on. I mean, to me, this was not about Warner.
Kittle can't get any separation. Wake the F up. Okay, he only had 8 catches today for 100.
And how many targets,
yards.
by the way?
I don't know how many targets he had.
I mean, he had he was wide open in the
10,
end zone at
10
the end
targets.
of the game.
Yeah,
10 targets. 8 for 10 targets.
83 yards.
Or 83 yards. 10.4 yards per catch.
Larry, how surprised are you about Drake London? I mean, he looks really good. It seems like
well, I mean, I saw him at SC. I was nervous as hell in the draft about going after him because he doesn't separate from anybody. Yeah. And he's, he does have that basketball background. He played on SC's basketball team for a semester or a year. And it looks like it. I mean, he's got all kinds of in the red zone and in like short areas. Like if you had a first and goal on the 5 and you're loving that you have Drake London on your team. Yeah. But if you're he's got to be in the right mix. Like they've got a really fast tight end in Pitts. And if they add another burner opposite London in the next couple drafts,
or Calvin Ridley,
or Calvin Ridley, then maybe London. London's got great ball skills. Somebody compared him to Mike Evans. He's very much like Mike Evans.
Yeah. A little slower Mike Evans.
He's like these guys that they win the 3 flies up, game in the backyard. They're just really good ball skills. So I like him, but he doesn't run away from anybody.
MF says Niners will beat KC. Book it. I think they'll beat KC too. I think they'll come back strong if they get Bosa back.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. If they're going to beat KC, they need Bosa and they need Ward to come back.
Yeah.
And they need KC to probably beat Buffalo to be riding high.
If
KC loses to Buffalo, there's no chance they're going to lose to the Niners.
This is the typical stuff I hear from fans all the time. No excuse for the fourth quarter. Kyle literally called the last 11 minutes like we were winning. I'm not saying get rid of Kyle, but why are we taking chip shots instead of taking a risk down 14 points? Well, if you take the risk, you're probably going to throw an interception because you got to take what the defense gives you. They were playing
but not in the fourth quarter. I agree with Mark on that from the standpoint of Danny. Once you get to the fourth quarter, I think
he's talking about the last drive though, from the 1 yard line because they got the ball at the 1 yard line with 11 minutes to go. And they moved down the field. They got it all the way down to the 20, 25 yard line of
22,
of the Falcons. So he moved the ball. I think they had it 3rd and 1 at one point, and they went 2 plays and didn't get the yard. They tried to run it on 3rd down, got stuffed. And then 4th down, Jimmy kind of threw that ball in the, off target. He had to hurry the throw, and there was nobody open. That's one thing.
They needed to go faster. I mean, give you an example.
They do need to go faster.
It was 10:40 left in the game when the 49ers got that ball on their own 1. And he went to Kittle for 9 yards on a pass, but then they ran Jeff Wilson on 2nd and 1 from the 10. And it's like, you know what? To me, I would have stopped running altogether. I would have just passed. I don't care if I need 1. I'm going to pass. But he ran. They got the first down. Then he went to Kittle, but there was a penalty on Brendel. So now it's 1st and 15 from the 7. He found Ayuk. Then he found Deebo Samuel, and it gets to 3rd and 1, and it's like at this point, it's 3rd and 1, but you don't want to run, but you need the first down, so he quarterback sneaks. Then so they get the first down. Then he goes deep to Ayuk, and it was a huge play, but it's holding on Brendel. So now it's 1st and 20 again. Then Garoppolo drops back to pass, and he had nothing, so he had to run. He picked up 7 yards. Then Garoppolo went to Deebo on 2nd and 13 from the 19, and Deebo ran over Richie Grant. It was maybe one of the best highlights of the game.
Sick.
And then so they get first and 10 at the 46. Garoppolo throws incomplete to Ayuk on the Rashaan Evans knocked that ball down. And then we got to that pass, that play that I was talking about. It's 2nd and 10 from the 46, and you're running Tevin Coleman, and you're down 2 touchdowns, and it's the 4th quarter, and you're inside the 5 minutes. So I hated that. It was like, where's the urgency? Where's the hurry up? Where's the urgency? I agree. I thought that last drive, they didn't play with enough urgency. They didn't play fast enough. You got to give yourself a chance. Just by going slow there, you're essentially losing the game. That's not why they lost, but I'd like to see them, work on their hurry up a little bit, because it didn't seem like their hurry up had a lot of hurry to it.
Yeah.
I
mean, they do.
It really didn't.
They do need to move with more urgency when you're down 2 possessions. I mean, you gotta assume that you're not going to just stop them for the rest of the game. So you've got to move quick to score. And they just look slow. And I do want to point out, though, I thought Ayuk finally broke out. Looked like he had
he did. He looked good. That was a great performance.
Yeah. So Ayuk looked good. I mean, those guys looked like they were cramping up a lot out there too, because guys were drinking fluids. And
it's still Atlanta, GA. It's still, October, probably still hot there. Yeah, Jeffrey Bond says, where's Danny Gray? I think Danny Gray was sick this week, and then he was inactive today. So, it's like they have Danny Gray and Ray McLeod. Everybody else is kind of, there's not a lot of home run hitters speed-wise on this offense. It says Hufanga played hurt, about half speed. What was Hufanga's injury? He got hurt early on in this game?
Concussion.
Well, possible concussion. I guess it wasn't. Hopefully it doesn't get worse.
Jeffrey says trade for a training staff.
Yeah, I actually put this tweet out it was like last time when they had colossal injuries. Maybe this was 2020, and I was like, screw the whole as far as people talk about, bring Tom Brady in, don't bring Tom Brady in. It's like I would trade 5 first-round picks just to bring in Brady and Alex Guerrero, just so they have the TB12 training staff situation, because it's seriously to that point where it's like, what the hell? How is it? How could this possibly? It has to be related to something, whether it's the training staff or the way that they're conditioned, or I don't know. But it's no longer just a small trend. It's every.
Well, I think there's certain things that you have to point to. One, they run the ball a ton, and they like to have speed backs that get to the edge. So this is the first year they've actually had some good size backs. Usually they've got these Jerick McKinnons and, Elijah Mitchell. I mean, smaller backs with a lot of speed that can get to the edge in the zone read running style, run system, I should say. So when you have speedy, faster, smaller backs and you're running it a lot, to me, that's a big part of it right there. But even so, it's just, there's nothing. If there was something they absolutely could point to definitively, they would have done it by now, because it's a crusher to try to win games. I mean, this was the first game all year. The Niners are one of the deepest teams in the NFL. This was the first game all year where you felt like, man, they were a little depleted. Like you didn't know what you were going to see from the 49ers today, because they were that depleted.
Yeah,
we'll get this one. This guy says Arthur Smith is better than Shanahan. Brian Daboll is better than Shanahan. Okay. Jeffrey Bond, clock management proves that Kyle is no offensive genius. Charles K. Shanahan is a horrible leader and a horrible coach.
Wow. What do you think about this tweet from Jack Hammer he just put out? I think this is kind of interesting. The 49ers offense doesn't have an identity. They fall behind 14 in the first quarter and attempt 12 runs the rest of the game. The Falcons offense has an identity. They fell behind Tampa by 21 late in the third quarter and still ran the ball 16 more times.
Well, there's no question when Shanahan falls behind. I mean, the Niners like to run it early in the game and then late in the game. But when they fall behind, they like to abandon it and try to mix in a bunch of pass plays down the field. So, yeah, I mean, should this game, one team was committed to the run, one team established the run, the other team went away from the run early. Now, they were in a 14-0 hole, but, before the end of the first half, the game was tied again. So they should have been able to bring back the run, but they just kind of got away from it. They never got the running game in any kind of real rhythm.
Yeah, and it did feel like they had a chance to kind of take control of the game until that last touchdown before the end of the first half. I mean, I do think it's cool how, even when they're not running it, and the defense is not what it normally is. It is cool how like they can kind of establish a toughness just by like getting the ball in like Debo's hands and Kittle's hands and all of that. But
Charles K says, how many times does Shanahan need to get shut out in the second half of a game to get fired? Wow. Guys, we're talking about one of the more respected offensive coaches in the league.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to produce points if you're an offensive coach. I mean, there is no such thing as I'm an awesome offensive coach, but we just don't score. What? No, you have the pieces. You can't say you don't have the pieces. They showed up in camp with a can full of backs, a lot of depth on the O-line, even though it needs to be coached up a little bit. One of the NFL's better tight ends, two of the NFL's better wide receivers, a number of options at running back. I don't know. I mean, a coordinator and a play caller who's considered to be a top tier guy. So I mean, who do you blame the offensive ineptitude on? I mean, if you said what is
today, I'm going to go with Warner and McLeod. You can't drop those. Those are
you don't get that many opportunities. Right?
Those are two drives that
Wilson.
You can't blame Kyle for that. I mean, he dialed up the play. They executed the throw, but two guys dropped the ball. What would have been first downs deep in the Falcons' territory. Those possibly could have led to two TDs.
Yeah. So there aren't in the NFL when the play's out there to be made, it has to be made.
It has to, yeah. I mean, that's what these guys. I mean, to me, if Warner dropped that ball like I said last week and drops this one, I'm looking for another tight end on the waiver wire this week. I'm serious. You can't drop balls like that in the NFL when you're given a shot because.
And by the way, you know what is also painful? Michael Pruitt was on the Niner roster. Yeah. And they cut him and kept Charlie Warner. Yeah. Michael Pruitt scores a touchdown, and Warner has a key drop.
I think unfortunately a key injury, and I'm forgetting his name, but the former wide receiver that was in camp this year,
Jordan Matthews.
Yeah, Jordan Matthews. He would have been perfect for this offense.
I agree.
Dang.
As a movement tight end, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Celts Chronicle says Garoppolo's here because of Kyle. Kyle isn't a very good coach, period. Wow. So now it's coming down on Kyle.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of people bringing up the record too. But again, it gets back to like, okay, you can't say that Kyle's record is 42, but then turn around and be like, well, but Jimmy G's not very good and his record's great. It's just all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your head spins with some of these comparisons. This guy X made in China. I says, I actually blame the fumbles and the drop balls. Okay. Yeah, there's somebody who's a little honest. Jeffrey Bond, just make Ryans the head coach and put Fangio in as the defensive coordinator now.
But then who's the OC?
And what? Yeah, and not only that, you're gonna have Ryans and Fangio. You have basically two. What's Ryan's gonna do? If
you guys realize out there in the chat that Kyle is considered by all NFL pundits, former coaches, guys like Cosell that do this and watch these films, considered one of the top 5 coaches in the National Football League, and that teams would love to have him. I mean, this is why he went out.
Here's the thing I don't get. The guy rolling through San Francisco saying, God damn it, we got to get rid of Kyle Shanahan, but I wish these guys would just leave great old Gabe Kapler alone and just let him do his magic. You know what I mean? It's like when you're that effed up, when you're that screwed up, where you think Cap's magic and Shanny needs to go, that's when I'm
Larry, how about your donut guy? How many more championships does Steve Kerr have to win before?
That's right. CK from All Star Donuts in Walnut Creek. Yeah. You know, CK, can I get some donut holes? Sure. And then I walk in there, man. Kerr sucks, man. I'm like, CK, they had a parade. They won the title. Yeah, man. But Kerr sucks, man. He sucks. It's like you think Kerr was like opening a rival donut store down the street or something.
Exactly. Tuesday night. The season tips off Tuesday night, Warriors, Lakers, and also we haven't even discussed yesterday. We'll get into that. We'll get into it. Yesterday was an incredible night.
Michael Gallego says Kyle must never abandon the run. The 49ers don't have a legit wide receiver 1 on the roster. Man, so Debo's not a 1 and Ayuk's not a 1?
You go back to that 2020 draft. They took Kinlaw they traded one spot with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay took Tristan Wirfs.
You're saying they should have gone with Justin Jefferson?
Yes. Yeah, Justin Jefferson would have been, because then you could have had him early on. You wouldn't have had to trade up to get Ayuk. You could have then used that pick to maybe trade up, get somebody else. But going with Kinlaw. Now, I'm looking at this and saying, 2020, hindsight is 2020. But
sure,
Kinlaw was coming off of a knee injury in college, and he had the problem already. And he looked dominant when he played, but he had the knee problem. And to me, if you're going to put that much emphasis and trade Buckner and go with Kinlaw, you got to know for sure that knee is 100%.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Because, you feel like he's damaged goods to some degree, but also he just plays so upright that he exposes his legs. And then I don't even think that it's necessarily always about, he's got this terrible tendonitis. I just think that he takes a lot of shots to his knees. So, it's not that it's the same injury. It's just that when you take a lot of shots to your knees, you got a lot of knee pain. He's a big guy who exposes his legs, and he takes a lot of shots to his knees. And so eventually you're going to have consistent knee problems.
Here's the roundup if you want to run through it.
As far as the injuries?
Yeah. I'll read much. Quarterback Trey Lance, ankle dislocation, out for the year. Elijah Mitchell, MCL sprain, 8-week injury, out since week 1 on IR. Tyler Kroft, MCL sprain, multiple week injury, out since week 2. Jordan Matthews, torn ACL, out for the year. Trent Williams, high ankle sprain, out since week 4. Colton McKivitz, knee sprain. Right tackle Mike McGlinchey, calf, hobbled in first half, did not return. Nick Bosa, out for this week. Only career absence aside from ACL, could return next week. Ebukam, Achilles tendonitis. Jordan Willis, underwent cleanup, is on IR. Javon Kinlaw, out since week 4, placed on IR. Eric Armstead, foot/ankle, multiple week injury, out since second half week 4. Maurice Hurst, torn biceps, out for the season. Aziz Al-Shair, MCL sprain, 8-week injury. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, knee, left game, status unclear. Emmanuel Mosley, torn ACL, out for year. Charvarius Ward, groin, we're not sure. Jason Verrett, ACL recovery, 3-week IR return window. Jimmy Ward,
he's having pain too, still in that knee, and he's not feeling great. So, where'd you get that list?
Jake Hutchinson, the great Jake Hutchinson.
Jake does a good job. Comprehensive list. It takes a while to get through that thing.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's what if this? We got this one. Kyle is just bad at clock management, flat out. Every game, win or lose, he mismanages the second half. Okay.
I mean, Andy Reid, you would have said the same thing about Andy Reid for a long time. Yeah.
Jeffrey Bond, I was hoping for Mariota as the backup to Trey this offseason, as was I. But that makes too much sense for this group.
So accurate. I mean, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Poupon boy. Yeah. Niners trying to squeeze into the playoffs once again. Well, they probably will be able to, but still. It's frustrating game today for sure. Joe Young, can't blame Jimmy. He put two huge passes on the money in the second half. Both were dropped.
What'd you think about the Kittle one that could have been a touchdown also? Do you think that was on Kittle? Like he was pointing for Kittle to go to the back of the end zone? And
no, I think it's on the quarterback. You got to put it on his hands. He overshot him. I mean, you can point to where you want him to go, but you gotta hit your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say on that though, when I looked at the replay, if he would have hit Kittle didn't have a ton of separation, maybe a couple steps, but he would have had to loft it right over the guy's arms, the defender.
Right.
And if Kittle had run at a 45 toward the corner, he could have caught that ball in stride. And I think there was a miscommunication because Jimmy was pointing to the corner, like I'm throwing it to the corner, and he threw it, but Kittle misunderstood and took a straight line toward the, he didn't go to the corner. He went straight across.
I mean, that's just, guys just trying to make a play. And sometimes you get on the right page and sometimes you don't.
It was just a miscommunication.
That's not anybody to blame necessarily. That's just, you know what? You're trying to communicate hand motions and sometimes you get on the same page and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of improv there. Mark Failer says, here's $9.99. Larry, first of all, I believe in you. Well, thank you, Mark. Wow. You believe in me. He believes in me. Second of all, can you name 5 current San Jose Sharks? Make Radish proud. Oh, I can definitely. How many? 5? Okay, here we go. Cooch, my man Cooch, Logan Couture. All right. I'm going to go with Tomash Hurtle. I can name Tomash Hurtle. Who else? Matt Nieto is there, right?
Matt Nieto?
No, Matt Nieto. Kevin LeBanc. You didn't think I had it in me. And I'll go with Timo Meyer. And then I'll give you one more to I think the defenseman's still on the team, right? Carlson.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm gonna go with my favorite Shark, Mario Ferraro. I'm a Mario Ferraro fan. Good defenseman, I should say. There you go. What do I win? I named 6 Sharks. All right. Vicky Pellich says if Kyle Shanahan didn't have the Shanahan last name, he wouldn't be a head coach. He's a good offensive coordinator, nothing more. Wow, Vicky. Vicky's bringing the heat, man.
That's because she's 5-0 in fantasy, and she's throwing.
Vicky's like the Cone Zone. She's just bringing the heat. Okay, how about this one? Jeffrey Bond, hire Ken Dorsey right now. I do like Ken Dorsey, but come on,
you got Josh Allen. He's got Stephon Diggs. He's got Gabe Davis.
Yeah,
come on.
And yeah. Also, I mean, look at like Dayball left, and now he's doing great. And it's not like
Dayball's a good coach too. MF says Charlie Warner ball was bad. I mean, the drop was bad. The ball was perfect.
Larry, our fantasy game may turn out to be the lowest scoring.
I know, seriously.
By the way, I'm about to get a 1-5 and be second in points in the league.
Joe Young says most blame is for Kyle's poor clock management and the lack of urgency. I agree. I would say if I was going to say what's the biggest thing to blame. Well, you can blame physical errors like drop passes, and they're real, and you can blame penalties. But the thing that would probably get me the most steamed is that they ran Tevin Coleman on that second down on that last drive. It's like, feel the urgency. Know how much time is left in the game. You know, be realistic about where you are in the game. I thought there was a couple moments earlier this year where they should have sped it up, and they had Trey in there, so I wasn't as harsh on him because I'm like, well, maybe Trey can't go fast, right? Maybe Trey's got to be deliberate. But now you got a veteran quarterback with all these weapons that know him and know the offense, and everybody knows everything. It's like, play fast. If you can't play fast, that's a problem, because you need to play fast in the second half in NFL games when you're down multiple scores. They could have, I'm not saying they should have won today's game, but they should have gotten closer than they did. I mean, the fact that they couldn't get within 2 touchdowns is really disappointing. What else here? We got this one. Couch Chronicle. Shanahan got beat by Eberflus, Hackett, and Arthur Smith. The 49ers have been severely injured for half a decade. Everyone plays on turn. Kyle isn't good. Wow.
By the way, I'm starting to get really pissed about this stupid Krueg Show fantasy league. I put up 105 is not a crazy number, but I put up 105 every week but one. And
I thought you were the commissioner of this league.
I am.
And you're getting mad?
The Yahoo format.
We didn't have to go to the.
No, I'm joking.
But the PPR, the half PPR format. By the way, I'm beating Danny 64.4 to 38.5, and I'm now projected to win. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, it's changing by the second though, because
I'll tell you. What's the most random thing?
78.42, and you're.
Can I tell you the most random thing is defensive scoring in fantasy? So the computer told me like 9 times this week, dump Kansas City. They're going against Buffalo. Dump Kansas City. They're going against Buffalo. Well, right now, Kansas City has 9 points defensively. Cincinnati going against a backup quarterback, which was what Danny had. Cincinnati got 1 point defensively. For Danny.
At this point, would you say Ken Dorsey has a better chance of putting up more points versus these Chiefs than the Niners do? I mean, they've got 3. I'd say maybe similar.
The one thing I always seemed like I can do in fantasy is I don't put guys on the bench who, I almost never have good scoring on the bench. I know who to play. Like I played Alec Pierce this week. But I just don't, I'm just getting, like I took Brady. Brady's been disappointing. I have Justin Jefferson. He hasn't really done much. I took DJ Moore. He's got 1.2 points today. He's been one of the most disappointing players in the league. Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me has a 1.6 going today. Even Kenneth Walker only got 7.1.
I had Jeff Wilson, 0.5.
0.5.
Yeah. The fumble lost 2 points on the fumble. Then they abandoned the run, so they didn't give him the ball much. It's bad. Metcalf. I got Metcalf today. He's got 0 so far, and they're in the second half.
Calba says this Niner offense is not built to come from behind, especially when they're down by more than 1 score. All right. I agree with you. MF says Jermichael Hasty looked good today for Jacksonville. I heard that. My son was like, hey, Dad, did you see Jermichael Hasty had a big play? Hasty have big numbers for the Jags today? Colts won that game, by the way.
Yeah. Hasty had 3 for 57 and a tud.
Jeffrey Bond is blaming the Niners training staff. The training staff is atrocious. Is it the training staff?
I don't know.
That seems, I don't know. I mean, I know they changed out the training staff. So is it still the training staff? MF says, I ripped all my Dodger fans last night. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I have a buddy who I went to college with who's a big Dodger fan, and I knew that if I put out a Dodgers are dead kind of a tweet, that all my Giants fan followers would rise up and retweet it. And this guy, so I attached him on the tweet, and he's just a regular guy. He's just some, random Joe working a 9-to-5 job. And I'm sure he went to his Twitter last night and saw like, you have 375 mentions of, everybody just crushing the Dodgers.
I had fun with that. I had so much fun with that last night. I put out a few good tweets.
What a weird night.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it rain like that in San Diego, by the way? Ever?
Oh, God.
Ever?
Once when I was in school there, but it rarely rains. We were getting a ton of rain here in Arizona. I think it was similar storm, same storm pattern from San Diego, but we had thunderstorms for all day yesterday. But I put out a tweet that said the dragon of the freeway has been slain, and that the drought continues. 34 straight years without
you're not giving them the title from a couple years ago.
20. This is even more confirming that it was not legitimate.
How about Roberts didn't know if he would, what he wanted to do with was it Almonte?
You got to get rid of Roberts at this point. If I was a Dodgers fan, this is just unacceptable.
What are you taking Anderson out for after 5 innings? He hasn't given up a run.
Well, that's the other thing. What happened to, remember when the big teams used to have like big time starters, and a starter would put tons of pressure on you because you knew he could go like 7 or 8. Yep. Now these managers, the guy could be cruising and they're like, get him out of there. It's like, do you realize if you can get 7 or 8 innings out of your starter, it's going to have a calming effect. And I'll take the starting pitcher in rhythm over a bullpen arm.
You think
more
Roberts
times than
would
not
learn from the 2020, whatever we want to call that, playoffs, when Blake Snell was dealing and the Dodgers were dead, and they woke up when Snell got out of the game. They said, "Oh, we felt like we had a shot once he came out." Well, Joe Musgrave said last night when Anderson came out, they knew that they had a shot.
And also never, ever, ever, ever take out a lefty in a good groove.
It's like,
ever in the postseason. When you get the righties are power guys, right? But these lefty guys, it's all about touch and feel and command and guile and moxie. And you get a Bumgarner cruising, leave him in. Pick your era, pick your team, pick your lefty. I can remember John Tudor against the Giants in '87. You get a lefty who's in a good rhythm, leave him out there. Leave him out there. Or anybody who's a rhythm pitcher, like a Yasmero Petit, but definitely these finesse lefties. You get these finesse
Dave
lefties.
Dravecki in the '87 playoffs.
And there's all kinds of examples of other lefties through history that just got into a little rhythm, and all of a sudden it was like, wow, look at this guy. You never pull out a lefty because of pitch count. It's unbelievable.
Is this true that Roberts guaranteed a World Series?
Yeah.
For the season?
Dan Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard
Patrick.
By the way, he says never heard Bochy do that. Are you seeing all these rumors coming up about Bochy and for the Rangers and the White Sox? He seems like he might be trying to get back in it.
Yeah, he said when he was when he left the Giants, he said he was not. He didn't think he was done. He would like to maybe get back into management.
And Chris Young is his former player. So, I think there's that connection. So, I mean, he would probably, he doesn't want to work for anybody.
Yeah.
But if there's somebody out there that's going to let him manage, I mean, heck, why not? The guy's a proven winner. But MF Roberts guaranteed a World Series before the season. Dan Patrick show. Never heard Bochy do that.
Also, Aaron Judge, this was the scenario I said, like the only scenario I could see him leaving New York is if, after setting the record or whatever this year, is he goes in the playoffs and they flame out and he plays horribly. He's currently 1 for 12. He does have 1 home run, but he's 1 for 12 with 8 Ks.
Plus, he had a few boos in after Game 2 in New York, which would be great if they lose tonight. And he never goes back to Yankee Stadium as a Yankee and hears some boos. Dick Vitale even put out a tweet and said, Say it ain't so. It's like
Who would you prioritize between Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, and Judge?
I two of the three. I want Judge and a shortstop. I'm going to get greedy this year. I'm telling you, they need a lot. Go get both. I'm not going to say just get one because I'd like
the double Dodger doink. Go with Bellinger and Trey Turner.
Yeah, go for that and Judge. I mean, shoot.
And Judge, you get Danny.
Yeah, man, I'm going for it all. Look at the Padres next year. They're doing this without Tatis. They're going to be tough again.
Oh, I know.
They're going to have a three-headed monster next year.
Charles Case is, and Tatis. How the F are you going to take 8 minutes off the clock on one drive with 10 minutes left in the game, down 2 scores? WTF, Kyle? It's going to be Kyle, guys. It's going to be Kyle Shanahan. I think this live stream has proven it, hasn't it? It's going to be Kyle.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Kyle's the guy they're going to blame tomorrow. Can't blame Jimmy. Defense is hurt. People won't feel comfortable blaming Warner and Ray McLeod.
Come on, Walker. Oh gosh.
What happened? You watching Walker, Texas Ranger over there?
Kenneth Walker the third just broke a tackle and added another 12. Let's see. He gets
That's my guy.
I know.
That's my guy.
35. Cuts back, breaks a tackle to 30, breaks another tackle to 28, moves, gets down to the 12-yard line.
That's why I drafted him. Oh, actually, I didn't draft him.
I drafted him.
That's right. You drafted him. That's right. You drafted him. You traded
the Rams.
him.
The Rams here, I feel like they're going to go for it. It's 4-down territory.
Oh, shoot.
That's why I drafted Kenneth Walker. Oh, I didn't draft him. Danny traded him to me.
Our points are I'm at 75.32 and you're at 75.31 projected. Now it just changed.
But what am I up right now? Because I'll take the real points over the projected points all the time.
You're up 63 to 30, almost
43.
39.
I'm up by 20.
It'll be interesting to see if Butker has the leg to
You know what? I also have Will Dissly, by the way, in this game.
I know you got Will Dissly. I picked up a couple of tight ends because I saw that Freiermuth was out, so I picked up a couple more so that you wouldn't be able to pick them up.
Look at you! Look at you!
By the way,
dirty.
I had to change.
Danny is really.
I am ruthless.
Evil.
You are. That is just mean spirited. That is mean spirited.
Competitive,
You play for keeps, man.
Competitive. Like
Danny's diabolical. He's diabolical.
I gotta get 2 back-to-back wins. I gotta be. I took down one co-host. I gotta take down the other co-host. If I win only 2 games this year, I want it to be Rye and you, Larry. That's it. I'm okay if the Giants don't win the World Series as long as the Dodgers don't. Okay?
Oh, here we go. Gerardo, Kyle Shanahan is not a genius. He has simply sold us smoke.
Ooh,
wow. It's going to be Kyle. Jeffrey Bond, blame John Lynch for this offensive line.
You know what? I'd be careful with everyone being like, oh, look at what Dorsey, look at that drive. They just scored so quickly. Josh Allen is maybe the best player in the whole game. So I don't know how much we should really be like just, on our hands and knees for Ken Dorsey.
Oh, I had a guy ask me yesterday in an interview if D'Amico Ryans was like worlds better than Robert Saleh. I'm like, you know what? Robert Saleh had a year where he was really good. That's when they had really good talent. He had years where he wasn't that good, and that's when they didn't have good talent. You could argue that D'Amico at the beginning of this year had the best talent the Niners have had defensively in a long, long time. So is D'Amico a good defensive coordinator? I'm sure he is. But, he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of talent. So I think that's we got this one. Couch Chronicles, Krueger for coach. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. I need a 115-hour a week job where people are saying fire his ass at the end of the week.
Yeah, getting the Matt Rule situation would be kind of nice, though. Like whatever he got, like $80 million, just walk away.
Yeah, seriously, the $80 million to walk away. Okay, that's a good one. You get paid $80 million to walk away. what are you doing immediately? $80 million to walk away. You can pretty much buy what you want. You can kind of do what you want. You can go where you want. You pretty much, your big baller shot caller. Somebody cashes you out for $80 million. You can sit on the couch and make $80 million. But what are you doing on day one? The check clears. You go to the ATM. You see $80 million in your checking account. You'd probably get called by like the bank. Excuse me, sir. Why do you have so much in your checking account? I was planning on buying Dan Coccimiglio. No, but if you had $80 million, you go to the ATM that first day, you see it's there. Oh, look at that. $80 million. What are you doing on day two?
Oh, I'm flying. How are you? Probably.
Are you? Here's the thing. I think I'm going to like the Big Island, that Westin Hapuna Beach resort, and I'm buying a condo there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy something on Maui.
Maui?
I like Maui. Yeah.
I think I'm going Big Island. I'm buying a condo at the Westin, and I'm just sitting there. Mahalo.
You're not building like your own beach house.
No, it would be nice to have like your own, like, killer house. But man, if you got $80 million, why bother with a house? Then you got to sit there. You might as well live out of a hotel. You know what I mean? You get towel service and you get maid service and your fruity cocktails and you get the best beach and you're going for taking the dog for walks and Hawaii, shuts down at like 10 o'clock at night. So you're going to have to get all kinds of booze and whatever else to kind of keep you going.
80 million. I'm going to turn that
80 million.
I'm going to turn that. I'm going to parlay that into over 100 million. And then I'm going to go over to Charles Johnson and also Larry Bear. And I'm going to say, I want in and I want Farhan out.
You know what? Actually,
look at that! Look at that! Danny would leverage Farhan's ass out of the gig for 80 mil.
You know what I would do? If we're being realistic, the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking that 80 million and I'm going right to Dan Coccimiglio, investing that money, securemoney.com on the web.
Oh, look at that!
I'll turn
securemoney.com. Danny
over. Yeah.
Yeah, what could you turn that 80 million into? What realistically, if I gave you 80 million, so Danny, I got 80 million I need you to play with. What are you producing for me in year one?
I'll safely turn that into, within 10 years, double that.
You're doubling it?
Within 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. 7% return.
SecureMoney.com on the web.
Seriously.
and without risk.
Oh,
no risk, so you don't have to worry about losing.
No risk? What do you mean?
I'll guarantee you're not going to lose money. Guarantee it.
Guarantee?
Yeah, guarantee.
Guarantee?
Yeah, guarantee. Yeah. Guarantee.
All of a sudden, Danny's like the president of the HOA. He's got all kinds of rings and jewelry. I guarantee your money's safe. Why did you just buy all that jewelry?
Got the Seattle kicker today. Who is the Seattle kicker?
I've got Jason Myers.
She's got 4 field goals.
How about Butker hit a 62?
Speaking of Myers, there's been like a lot of Halloween marathons on. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like every channel in the world's got Michael Myers this, Michael Myers that. Charles K., how the F are you going to take 8 minutes? Okay, I already read that. Who will the Niners get before the trade deadline? Okay, this is interesting.
That's interesting.
Okay, Washington is shopping William Jackson III. He's a corner. Now, what would you say? There's also talk that OBJ, the Niners may have some interest in OBJ. It wouldn't be a trade. It would be a free agent signing. And then there's Carolina. They got a brand new head coach. There's talk that DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Terrace Marshall, Derek Brown, Brian Burns, that they basically would trade for, they'd be willing to move anybody. I would say I would try to get McCaffrey.
I like McCaffrey and Burns if I can get both those guys.
I like the Niners' depth on the D line as far as the ends. I think I would want to get Derek Brown. If you could somehow get Derek Brown and Armstead inside, then you could kiss off on Kinlaw and you don't have to worry about keeping him around and worrying about his knee anymore. But McCaffrey is the guy that I would absolutely go get, because I think if you put McCaffrey in this offense with all the rest of the wide receivers and runners and tight, I mean, you have a player that you could really do a lot with. I just think that if you're, look at how valuable like Juszczyk is in the Niner offense. Imagine if you had kind of, like a running back, wide receiver, who's also kind of a home run hitter, but it's just, I don't know. To me, McCaffrey, I don't like McCaffrey in every situation. Because like if I were the Rams, I don't know about McCaffrey. Why? Because you're basically needing him to be like the bell cow back. And I think that gets him hurt. But on the Niners, where you could have him be like this kind of jack of all trades, I think you could literally, if you got your defense somewhat healthy and you added McCaffrey, I think you could win the bowl. And isn't that, I mean, let's be honest. If I'm John Lynch, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm not focused on anything other. I mean, who knows about the future with Trey? Who knows about the future, period? In the NFL, never really look too far to the future because everybody gets hurt and everybody's, everything's speculative. I would make that trade. Learn from what the Rams just did. The Rams sprinted towards a Super Bowl and they got it. I don't think in this day and age that you can approach it any other way. I think you have to go after it with some desperation. That's why the Rams and Bills are both listed as interested in Christian McCaffrey, because they know that, he's a difference maker. It's like adding another Cooper Kupp to your offense. Well, do you want that player with the Rams? Do you want that player in Buffalo? Or do you want that player with the 49ers? And it could be the difference between winning and losing. So I like the idea of trading a second round pick and maybe even a future pick, maybe even a player or two, and trying to make a significant deal with Carolina. Yeah, but what's the biggest need? If I said to you, biggest need, is it corner because they don't have Emmanuel Mosley? Is it D tackle because Javon Kinlaw may not come back this year? Is it running back because, man, all their runners are going down? Is it offensive line? I mean, what, NorCal saying, would you trade for Trey for McCaffrey? Ooh. Would I trade Trey Lance for McCaffrey?
That sounds shocking, but honestly, if there was an owner that would be willing to do something crazy like that and take a big shot, it would be Tepper.
I'll say this. I would not trade Trey for McCaffrey, but I would trade Trey if I could make a deal that netted me multiple players. Like if I could trade Trey Lance, who has a ton of value as a young quarterback on a rookie deal, if I could to a team like Carolina that has Baker, right, just a nobody quarterback, I would start fresh trying to find the next quarterback behind Jimmy, and I would trade Trey to Carolina. But I want McCaffrey, I want Derek Brown. You know what I'm saying? I want Terrace Marshall. I want a few pieces to the puzzle. I don't just want one. I definitely want at least Derek Brown and McCaffrey. If I could get Derek Brown and McCaffrey, I would trade Trey Lance to Carolina and try to figure out the quarterback thing down the road, especially because I like what I've seen out of Purdy. And I can't picture the 49ers ever being in a position to give Trey the big ramp up runway that he's going to need to effectively transition from super raw FCS quarterback to capable starting quarterback. I just don't see it. I don't see them willing to give away a season, a half a season, multiple seasons. I mean, can you guys picture them ever feeling totally comfortable going forward with Trey. It seems like he needs to develop, and they consider themselves a contender. Shanahan and Lynch are trying to sprint towards winning a Super Bowl, and this guy needs 25 games of development and a long leash. You know what I mean? And I don't see them ever having that. It seems like his timeline and their timeline doesn't jive. Am I reading that wrong, guys? How do you guys read that?
Well, I get worried about if he has one more injury, all of a sudden he now is labeled as just as injury prone as Jimmy Garoppolo, whether it's fair or not. And then all of a sudden it's what can you even get for him?
You probably could get McCaffrey and Derek Brown for him right now, don't you think?
Yeah.
But if you're right, if he fails again or gets hurt again or had any kind of major setback again, that probably would go out the door. So I don't know. I mean, that would be interesting. That would be interesting for sure.
That would be a
Danny. What do you think, Danny? I mean, you're Mr. Trader. You're always talking about trade this guy, trade that guy. Trading Lance would be that would be an incredible pivot from where they've been. But we've gotten some glimpses that Lance is going to need. I would say, if you made me estimate, I would say 10 to 25 games to kind of figure out who he is. And I don't.
If Carolina offered me patient. If they offered me McCaffrey for Lance plus their number one in next year, I'd do that deal, because then you might be able to go. What year is Hooker in for Tennessee?
Hendon Hooker. You like what he did yesterday?
Oh, I think he's a redshirt senior.
I'll tell you the guy who I liked from watching yesterday. I love Cam Rising. Have you seen Cam Rising for the Utes?
Oh yeah. Hey, where were the best place? I mean, with a name like that, Hendon Hooker, Vegas would be the appropriate place for
Nice. Mark Failer says, here's $9.99. When do the Krueg heads get to see Gary make a special guest appearance? By the way, you guys had the best show in the Bay Area sports radio history. I will try, but I'll say this: Gary made it very clear that when he retired from radio, that he was not going to be hanging around. You're not going to see me again, kind of a thing. So I think he's trying to
call him sometime.
Yeah,
Evan.
But I will lob a call his direction at some point and see if we can get him on, because I know there's so many people in the Bay Area that would love to hear Ratty comment on everything from Draymond Green to the Warriors to the Niners to the Giants to just life, right? Just life. I think there's an awful lot of people that miss Gary.
How does Amendola still have a job in the NFL as a kicker? He just missed an extra point after the Seahawks. Let's see what happened here.
By the way, for a little gambling tip before everyone fully catches on to it, Arizona has not scored a single point in the first quarter this year.
Really?
Not a single point. So that was a big, people were putting out,
They got a touchdown. Seattle was punting from their own end zone, and the rush was heavy, and he came in and he dropped the ball, the punter, and it was recovered by Arizona for a touchdown. And he got tackled in the end zone and he dropped the ball. Touchdown, Arizona, 12-9, and then Amendola comes out and misses the extra point. And he missed the field goal last week to win the game, like a short 40-yarder, and he missed that. This guy's been moved around. Amendola, he was on another team. He was with the Chiefs earlier, and he missed so much there, they cut him. How's this guy still have a job?
I don't know. Ron Holder donates $1.99. Says the Niners can really use Jordan Mason. I'd love to see Jordan Mason. I don't know, maybe get a touch. Would it really hurt anybody if he got a couple? I mean, you're making him active every week. He doesn't ever play. He's like an insurance policy at this point.
It's crazy.
Brian Lucena, Jordan Mason doesn't exist. Yeah, he's a figment of our imagination.
He's like
TDP got a carry today, right? One?
Did he?
Or did he? Was he a block? I saw him in there.
MF says, I'm tired of Tim Kawakami talking turf. I respect Tim, but I'm sick of hearing it. I don't like turf talk either.
Okay, he didn't get a carry, but he was in on a play, I think. Maybe it was I saw him in the backfield once, but my goodness.
We got this one, Dusty Gold. Jets have a better record than the Niners. How about that? Lou Marston, what do we have to give up for him as far as McCaffrey? McCaffrey's under contract till 2026. So it's really,
but it's not guaranteed though.
But yeah, the way it works is if he gets moved, the big acceleration on the cap goes to Carolina.
Yeah,
so Carolina takes the big cap hit. So it's not a big cap hit. It's supposedly, from what I've read in a couple spots, they want picks and they want high picks, like multiple ones. Well, guess what? Nobody's giving you multiple ones for a running back.
No. Especially as injury prone as he is.
Yeah, and I mean he's a nice player, but I would say I would say the bidding probably starts at a second round pick. But once again, if you had a quarterback like a Trey Lance, that's an asset that's worth more, and you might be able to get a lot more. So there's that. I don't know. What's that?
Did they trade a 1 for Darnold?
No. I think it was a 2 and a 4, maybe. But even that seems really high. GTC Real says, Larry, this team ain't making it to the playoffs with the way they're looking. Yeah, what do you guys think? I still think the 49ers are a playoff team.
The division is very winnable this year.
But here's the one thing about the 49ers. Do they ever win games that are like the 50-50 games? Like games that are like could go either way? Seems like they lose all these games.
This year, no.
They won this year so far, not. But 19, the year they went to the bowl,
last year
beat
they won
Saints.
A lot of 50-50 games.
Yeah, last year. I mean, they're right now. The way their schedule's played, they could be 6-0 if they were healthy. But 3-3 is where there's a lot of parity. It looks like this year.
Oh, there's tons. There's a ton of parity for sure.
You're going to have.
I would say the 49ers are still a playoff team.
Yeah, you're gonna have 1 or 2 9-8 teams in the playoffs.
They might be able to win 8 games and get in the playoffs with the way things are looking this year.
Is it Pickle Rick says CMC would fit perfectly on our IR?
Oh God,
that's good. Jeffrey Bond, Robert Saleh owns Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I guess so, huh? How about the Jets?
I could see. I mean, if this thing keeps going the way it's going, Rodgers could be had.
There's a lot of people that I read something this week that Rodgers has told people that he intends to retire at the end of the year.
Maybe
not everybody's Tom Brady. Not everybody's going to go to 45.
But he made pull Brady, and he's letting the Packers down easy, and then Niners slide in there. I don't know.
MF says Rams win, not a guarantee, Ryan. Yeah, no, the Rams,
absolutely not.
Carolina could come from behind. Carlo P says, miss you guys. Well, we're here, Carlo. Yeah. We're here right now. How can you miss us? Dusty Gold says, hate Kyle's offensive philosophy. When this team gets behind, they're cooked. Have to pass out of it, and you saw Kyle's weak offense. Yeah, that's the thing. Can the Niners run? I mean, can the Niners do anything when people think they're going to do it? Like if you know they're going to run, they can't run. If you know they're going to pass, they can't pass.
If you know they're going to pass, it can be kind of bad. I mean, today was interesting because it was different. They weren't doing as much shotgun, as much early down passing, but then they only passed in the second half. So I don't really know. Hey, Larry, what do you say we run the ads? I got to give our guy Will. I'm going to give him a ring.
Okay.
See what the deal is.
GTC Real says this defense got 2 critical guys out with long-standing groin injuries. It's cooked. Okay.
Come on, Butker. 51 yards.
We shall see. All right, let's.
Oh no, he missed it. Got it.
A lot of people in the chat here.
Butker missed
here we go. We got this one. I want to make sure we get GTC Reels $1.99. Kyle is a souped up version of Norv Turner. Wow. Here we got this one from Mark Failer. Larry, first of all, I believe in you. Second of all, okay, we already read that. I thought we already
got the rest of the.
Have we gotten all these?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it? For some reason, they're all on the bottom here. Oh, wait. Okay, we got that one. Okay, let's see. MF says, love the post game over NBC Sports Bay Area. Love Ron Wotus, though, when he comes on NBC. So guess what? Yesterday I'm at Lenardi's in Pleasant Hill. Guess who was walking around Lenardi's in Pleasant Hill?
Ron Wotus.
Ron Wotus.
All right.
Ron Wotus, good man. Okay, let's do this because I definitely want to get Danny's thoughts too on the baseball. But let's do this. Let's play the spots and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little baseball on the Krueg Show. But first, a word from our sponsors. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimiglio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number, 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you and you can sit down. It's not a one size fits all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger, Dan Coccimiglio, Ryan Smith with you after Niner football. If you're just tuning in, 49ers lose at Atlanta to the Falcons. It was 14-0 Falcons, and it was 14-14. Then Atlanta kicked out to a 28-14 lead, and the Niners never scored a single point in the second half, and they lose 28-14. Should I say that? Wait, it was what was it at half?
21-14.
It was 21-14. Yeah. So the Niners did not score at all in the second half. Shutout in the second half. And we're coming down the stretch. We'll hit the chat real quick here. Eric Hernandez just says fresh in, fresh out. And there you go. Val Ramos says Tim Walker.
Walker just scored a TD. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Just yeah.
Tinfoil is a bust. No doubt about it. Talking about Kinlaw. Oh my goodness. Luca Brasi and the Dodgers sleeping with the fishes, sleeping with the sausages, according to Anonymous. Bomber T. Tinlaw is a bust. Oh man. We got this one. Of course, not Mitchell and Ness, but did the offense under Jimmy G do anything different they had not been doing all year? Jimmy is average, and the bandwagon jumpers only realize this when they lose. What else?
Anonymous is quietly one of the saltiest Jimmy haters. Honestly, maybe the most salty of all the regulars.
Jimmy was not bad today. It's just he just wasn't bailed out. Mitchell and Ness, Kinlaw's done. The knee won't last. Even if he comes back, he won't last longer than 2 games before it flares up. Yeah, maybe if they could throw him in the deal for Derek Brown, make Carolina take Kinlaw as well. I don't know what to say about the 49ers. I do believe they're still one of the better teams in the conference. I did fear this game as it got closer and as the line moved. I didn't expect Mariota to complete 93% of his passes, but that's what happened today. 13 of 14 for 129 and 2 touchdowns. Heck, based on what I saw today, guys, I thought Mariota might be one of those guys that, can be their guy going forward. So Atlanta definitely is an underrated team. They're going to wind up beating some teams for sure. Arthur Smith is clearly a good coach, and they found something with Mariota. But overall, as people care about the 49ers, this is going to be a tough week. They're still not 100%. And now here come the Chiefs. Chiefs are now losing to the Bills at Arrowhead 17-10. So imagine Kansas City rolls in, 4-2 off of a loss. Then they could really show up and make things uncomfortable for the 49ers.
Lost to the Raiders too.
Yes. Go. And Hollywood.
Who are you cheering for now, Danny?
Hollywood. I got him against you and Kyler. They're down by 10, Arizona, 12 minutes, now 11 11 and a half, but they've been in a no huddle hurry up offense. Unlike
what the interesting thing is, that's the theory on why they don't score early and they score all their touchdowns in the second half is like the scripts just clearly don't work or it's not vibing Kyler and Kingsbury. But then once Kyler turns it into like playground football, that's when they score all their points.
I don't know.
Danny still has CeeDee Lamb going tonight. But you're down 19 points right now. And I still have five guys going.
I need
right
Kyler
now.
to throw a TD pass to Hollywood Brown here. That's what I need.
That's true. You have Kyler and Metcalf and Marquise Hollywood Brown. I have Will Dissly, Kenneth Walker. It would be nice if Clyde Edwards-Helaire or DJ Moore did something.
Yes, Hollywood, another catch. Go. Yes. All right. Keep picking up those points.
It's going to be very close. Danny,
yeah, it's going to be close. Yeah, it's going to be close.
Danny's projected to win 77-76.
I hate you guys. I hate
Kind of a low scoring.
Low scoring, man. I was projected like at 106 to start the thing, and it just dwindling and dwindling.
Couple thoughts on the baseball, guys. What do you think of Mariners Astros going endlessly?
Oh, that was I love playoff baseball. I mean, it's just every pitch is exciting, and I mean, you get a 17-inning game in the regular season, you're tuning out. I mean, you're just like, hey, this is so boring, you know. But in playoffs, it's like everybody's cheering and the crowd's going crazy, and then one pitch, boom, home run by the shortstop. Was that Diaz to Houston?
Pena,
yeah.
Pena.
Okay. Yeah, home run. When he hit it, it didn't look like it had enough. But, man, that thing carried.
So who do you like? You like the Guardians to knock off the Yankees?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see Judge.
Do you like the Astros to knock off the Guardians?
Yes.
Do you like the Padres or the Phillies?
Phillies.
I like Padres.
I think it's Phillies' year.
I don't know. It's weird because both the Phillies and the Padres are kind of having that thing. It's the Nola brothers are going to face each other. Aaron Nola against his brother. What's the Austin
Nola.
Austin
By the way,
Nola.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire in our game, Danny. That's on my Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the red zone right now at the 19-yard line.
Well, just don't score. I don't care.
Standing next to Mahomes.
I'm watching Kyler here. I'll have to go back and forth here. Both games are on. All right, let's pop it over there.
Now Mahomes is inside the 5.
You gotta get red zone, Dan. Come on, man.
I have red zone, but I'm watching the. Yeah, I have. I should watch them both at the same time.
Jose Fonseca Jr. says he's going Phillies. I think Dusty gets the ring. Anonymous. Dusty gets his first ring in
that would be
Hall of Fame
great.
career. Gets inducted as a Giant.
I don't know. San Diego's kind of having that magic of the Giants. What was it, 2012 when Scudero caught the ball in the rain, and then the Goose came out in L.A. And the last time that the Padres had a 4-out save was from Goose Gossage, and the Goose came out. So I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to see. I'm mixed because I don't like the Padres. But there's a part of me that wants to see the Padres win, so it forces the Giants to do something this offseason.
Doesn't it feel weird that like it seems like there's these years, obviously with Boston and but we just had it with like Tampa Bay, where like all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, like some city, like all of their teams are winning and contending. I think this might be Philly's year. Eagles are number one in the NFL right now.
Don't say Sixers.
I think the Sixers.
Come on.
I think the Sixers are going to be great this year.
I like the
know
Nets.
You keep saying that, but I mean, why? Why would you say that?
They're just kind of stacked.
Okay, this is what Philly has. The Sixers. Now we're talking Sixers. Joel Embiid, PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey.
Maxey, I think, will take a jump.
With Korkmaz, Tybal, Niang, Paul Reed, DeAnthony Melton on the bench. I don't know. That's projecting an awful lot of health out of Embiid and Harden.
Part of it also for
that's
me,
a volatile mix, man. That's volatile. I don't know. I'll take the Bucks.
I'm buying in a little bit to like, well, Harden's coming in a little bit in shape, and how much worse can he possibly get in the playoffs? Like,
I actually, I kind of like Sacramento over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got to do an over.
Yeah. Oh, Larry, I don't know if you want to get in on this. I was talking to Dan on the phone. We should do an NBA over-unders pod where we just go through every team, give our over-unders, and then maybe like if they're whatever ones we like all agree on, we should just make locks and just actually bet.
Mahomes just ran on 2nd and goal, got down to the 3. I'm waiting for the Clyde Edwards-Helaire plunge here to put Danny away.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, hey,
Clyde
stop
Edwards-Helaire. I'll do that. I'll do the we can do a podcast on Cy was actually invited me on to do a little Warrior breakdown today, but I'm like, man, Cy, it's NFL Sunday.
We need Helaire to fumble and Walker to fumble. Come on. Let's see.
Is Seattle up in that game?
Yeah, they're
going to run Walker. They'll run Walker.
Yeah,
they're going to run.
Oh, here we go. Hilaire's not even in the backfield, is he? No, he's not even in there.
Get him.
That's the danger of going with.
We're going to be a tie game. Who caught that? 17. Is that Hardman? Who is 17?
Oh, look at Mahomes. Who did he find?
Hardman.
Yeah. 17-17.
And, we touched on Utah USC a little bit, but like that was the best day of college football I can remember in a really long time.
Is there anything like college football in America?
Oh, no, man. It's just like the atmosphere of Tennessee was unbelievable.
The NFL crowd, by comparison, isn't even watching compared to the college crowd.
I love
college crowd's football. Passion. The scene in Knoxville yesterday was outrageous. The scene in Ann Arbor, outrageous. The scene in Utah, outrageous. How about the balls on Kyle Whittingham to go for 2? When he could have, it was 42-41, and he kicks the extra point, and you got a tie game. He goes for 2 with Cam Rising, and he ran it in there. Cam Rising threw for 400 plus yards.
I'll tell you, I wish I would have planned earlier. It would be great to go to a game like that, and then next day fly over from Knoxville over to Nashville and catch the Titans on a Sunday afternoon game. That would be just a great road trip. I mean, it's good to see Tennessee back in the SEC. They have been down for the last 10 years or so.
I mean, that was like an orange festival. That was just the most ridiculous thing of all time. And they stormed the field. I think they charged the school like $150,000 every time they stormed the field like that.
They took the goalpost and they walked it down the street and then threw it in the river.
How about that head coach? He was the UCF guy. I didn't even realize that.
Heupel. He's a former Oklahoma quarterback, Josh Heupel.
Did he win a Heisman? No.
But he was really good. He had a really good career. I'll tell you the other quarterback nobody ever talks about, Will Levis for Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. Kentucky beat Mississippi State.
He's like the number one. Is he the number one?
Bryce Young, though, Alabama, he's something else. Just, wow, his scrambling ability.
He's just so tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, is Bryce Young an NFL quarterback?
I mean, he'll go like top 3. He'll be a top 3 quarterback taken, but I'm just off of Stroud and Bryce Young. I'm just off of these guys with these insane weapons.
I love Cam Rising for Utah.
He'll be like a 5th round draft pick or something, maybe. Yeah,
he's a junior. He's 6'2", 220. He's a little on the shorter side. He's got 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's tough.
I was watching the overtime game. Cal got totally upset by Colorado, and then the
how about Stanford going to South Bend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
What do you guys think of DTR as a quarterback or as an NFL prospect?
UCLA?
Yeah, I think he's there. He runs a great college offense right now. Chip Kelly has UCLA just absolutely rolling right now. I don't know about pros. I don't know. I mean, he's mobile. He's got a pretty good arm, but he's pretty inconsistent.
He's been really great this year, but like,
no, he has. He's been really good this year.
It's also like he's been in the system forever. He's old.
He has been in that system for a long time, so he kind of knows the system. He should be good. MF says DTR good. Well, he's good for college. I just don't know. He's pretty slight.
Yeah.
What is DTR? Isn't DTR like 6'3", like 190 pounds or something? 180 pounds. He's pretty lean. So that would be my concern with him, and also just consistency. I don't know how accurate DTR is, but if you're just looking for mobility and making plays off schedule, yeah, he looks good. I thought the SC quarterback looks pretty good too. Caleb Williams, the transfer. So college, I'll tell you, college is incredible to watch. And just seeing there is no sport in America that it means more to the viewers than college football. Would you agree?
Well, and especially for the casual person like myself, it sucks going into the year when it just feels like, okay, well, we already know that the champion's going to be one of Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, but now that's no longer the case. So it's just awesome.
Yeah, the one thing I can see this happening. Tennessee has got to play Georgia at Georgia. And so Georgia probably wins that division. I think they're the East. And then Alabama has a free shot to still control their own destiny to win the West. Then they'll go up against Georgia in the SEC playoff. And if they beat Georgia, it'll be Georgia and Alabama get into the playoffs, and Tennessee could have one loss against Georgia and get knocked off. And, that would just stink. I mean, it's going to be tough for Tennessee to beat Georgia at Georgia.
Georgia's defense is just so stacked.
Yeah. And
Bennett's such, he's a veteran at this point. Did Buffalo just score again? No, it's 17-17. Good football game between Buffalo and Kansas City, though. 17-17. Wow. Wide open.
I'm stoked for the battle of the NFC East, too.
I know. Hey, if you had to wager on this one tonight, what would you do?
Taking the Cowboys.
You're taking the Cowboys.
I take the Eagles first half.
Yeah, taking the Cowboys because it just.
What is the line? It's Philly -6.5.
I'm taking the Cowboys just simply because it feels like the NFC East was dogged going into the season, and they'll have 3 teams at 5-1, while the NFC West, which was like, now they'll be like 3 teams at 3-3.
What do you think of the number 42.5? Anybody in the chat got a vibe on how you can help your favorite Krueg show host make a few bucks on Sunday Night Football?
Larry,
I was thinking about maybe taking a 7.5 point teaser so I could get Philly at home +1. Or I could put it on the other side and give it Dallas +13.5 or 14.
I think I do.
But I'm worried about the backup quarterback in that environment.
He hasn't lost though.
I know. But I mean,
go deep. Get it to Metcalf, please. Oh,
I like Philly. I think Philly's done most of their damage in the second. They're like the opposite of Arizona. They've done almost all their offensive damage in the first half. I kind of like them just first half.
Do you see high scoring or low scoring in that game?
Low.
Really?
Yeah, the primetime unders have been real good this year.
Maybe I could take that from. Let's see.
Well, here's the thing: if you like Dallas, then you'd want to bet the under also. So, like, you could bet like Dallas +6.5 with the under. I think those are correlated.
No, it would be Dallas plus if you on the T. Well, you could take. Yeah, you could. The thing is, I was thinking about taking Philly. Teasing Philly down to so I get like a point against Dallas, so Philly +1, and then take the over/under from 42.5 up to 50 and go under.
Not bad.
What do you think of there? So then it would just be like Philly to win, or Philly, basically Philly on almost like Philly on the money line, and then under 50.
I'd maybe tease. What about teasing Philly and the Broncos?
You know, what's a theme that seems to be happening is that defenses seem to be really dominating, and this week too. I mean, it's just like I was expecting Seattle, Arizona to be a shootout, and it's like 19-9. I mean, all the fantasy projections were for both teams to score big, you know, and you're seeing nobody score. I mean, Tampa 20-18 loses to Pittsburgh. Jets shut down Green Bay to 10 points. 17-17 Buffalo and KC in the fourth quarter. You think it would be more closer to 30, you know. Just very seems like the defenses are starting to clamp down and really stop some of these high-powered offenses.
You know, it's by the way, it's 24-10 now. Rams on top of the Panthers. Seattle's up on the Cardinals 19-9, still 17-7 between 17-17 Bills Chiefs.
The whole NFC West will be 3-3.
Yeah, well, no, one of the teams will be 2-3 because Seattle and Arizona, one of them is going to lose.
Oh wait, never mind. You're right.
So, but you'll have three teams, probably 3-3, and
they'll have the tiebreaker over the Seahawks and the Rams at least.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's so long of a season. I mean, you think about how a season used to be 14 games, and here we are through week 6, and there's still 11 games left. So much can happen. And it's going to come down to health again. Yeah. I mean, it really is. If the Niners are healthy, they're the class of this division.
Yeah.
There's no way that they should lose if they're healthy.
Vicky Pellich says Eagles by 17 tonight.
Specific.
MF says Kenneth Walker is a beast. Is he looking great today?
He's looking pretty good. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Shoot, man.
Is he looking good right now? Because I'm watching Chiefs Bills.
Well, right now it's going to be Arizona's ball down at they're down 10 and they've got to
I'm beating you 71-54, but you're still expected to beat me 75-74.
I see that. Yeah, it's weird. It's it's going to come down to Lamb. CD Lamb if he,
what do you guys think we hop off so we can enjoy this fourth quarter of Bills Chiefs?
Sounds good. Good stuff to everybody who participated. Vish is going to join us a couple times this week. I'd like to do a baseball one. Is also Tuesday night. How do you guys feel about doing a little Warriors post game Tuesday night?
Oh yeah,
for the opener.
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe I'm going to welcome in Carl Foster or Frank Red or one of my buddies on that front. Maybe even Cy. We'll throw Cy an invite. We'll chop it up. We'll talk a little Warriors. Maybe that's the night, Tuesday night, right? We can do our live stream on the over-unders. Yeah. That'll be cool too.
Yeah.
That'd be good. All right, guys. Good stuff tonight. Good luck to you in fantasy, everybody except for Danny. And go Padres, beat the Dodgers. Oh, it's over. Oh, sorry, Dodger fans. I didn't realize.
Dodgers.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
The drought continues.
You know what? If the Giants can't win, that's bad. Yeah. But if the Dodgers can't win, that's good.
Can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
To the Dodger fans, if there's any Dodger fans out there listening or who may listen to this in the future.
On that note.
Never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. We ain't never fall back. Hold up